Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Alex, I'm an airbrush artist, and I wanted to show you today how I would colour match on this beautiful picture. And first of all, what I do is I mark out each of the colours from lightest to darkest that I will be using or I'll be mixing. So with airbrushing, I layer up my paints from lightest to darkest so that the darker colours are on the top. This means that there's no contamination between light and the dark. When you put light over dark paints, it does tend to create a different colour. So this is what I'm doing right now. Let's speed it up a little bit. So in total there's about 15 colours I've marked out here. So what I do first is take my paint. These are the paints I use. I use Auto Air colours. This is a sealer or a base. So again, please mark in the comments of what you use and how you use them. Better reducer just so that it goes through the airbrush. I'm going to be mixing the first colour, which is just there. First of all, take a darker colour, put that in, start mixing that up. As you can see, it's really easy to mix the airbrush paints, especially when you have the reducer in there. You reduce it by about 10%, as it says on the bottle. Over time, this gets a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. I'll be showing you in the video of where you can mix paints within 2 tries, and other times it takes 10, 20, 30 tries. When I first started, it took me about 20 tries just to match a colour. As you get used to it, as you see the technique, you'll be able to identify the colour that's missing, the amount, get an eye in for it, and be able to mix colours very, very quickly. So as you can see, I'm putting these into separate little bottles. I think these were originally used for glue, but you can use any bottle as long as it's sealed. Again, for airbrushing, this works really well for me. However, please let me know in the comments for oils, for watercolours, for even pastels and pencils. Let me know what you do and how you create your images. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out a very small window within an A4 white piece of paper. The reason why I do this is I can place the colour I've mixed in this window on half the side of the window, and on the other half of the side is the area of the picture that I'm trying to colour match to. The reason why I do this, so in our heads, in our minds, in our vision, our head almost blurs colours together and it's not quite as we see it. So, you know, on the image it might look white, however it's actually possibly a bit more of a grey, especially with clouds, especially with this colour that I'm looking at now. I'm going to be looking at this first lighter colour. It looks white on the image, but as you can see within the window, it's slightly grey. So as you move this window around and moving the picture behind it, you can see that the colours change, and it makes it a lot easier to match when you have this white border, and then you don't have any of the other colours around it messing with your view. This is the airbrush I use. It's an iWater HBSB. It has a side cup, dual action trigger, push down for air, pull back for paint. The reason why I use a side brush, as you can see, it's adjustable, and I find that when you're airbrushing, you need to see where the airbrush is pointed. With airbrushes that have a cup on top, this can obstruct the vision, obstruct the area of where you're pointing to, as well as you want to be able to have your crease in your finger, in your index finger, on the trigger. You don't want to have the trigger at the end. Reason being is you get a lot more control if you have it within the crease of your finger. I'll hopefully show you this in a little bit of time. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I've got the paint in the side of the airbrush there. I'm actually having some troubles with my airbrush at the moment, but hopefully I can just get this sorted. But as I'm colour mixing, it doesn't matter whether I have a little bit of paint coming out of the airbrush when I don't want it to. All I'm trying to do is get the colour onto the piece of paper on the edge, so that when I place this inside the window, this is the colour that's going to be shown. This is the colour I've mixed, and then I can see this colour side by side with the colour that I'm trying to match. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm placing the colour next to the colour I'm trying to match, and then I'm going to place the window over my colour that I've mixed and the colour I'm trying to match. So as you can possibly see there, on the left hand side is the image. Very difficult to see. Show you this in again in a minute. So I've put a little mark just to sort of say this is the first colour I've mixed, but it's not quite right. It needs a little bit of darker colour in there just to take it from a light tone to a dark tone. As you can see as well, what I'm doing is I'm spraying water into the side cup of the airbrush, and I find it really quick and easy to clean, as you can see. Cleaning it very quickly and very easily. For colour changes, this is a super quick way of getting each of the colours done as quickly as possible. Just pour a little bit in there. You only need a couple of drops, especially for this colour matching. What I'm doing is I'm just spraying next to it again, so that I can see the colour differences. And what this does also is it just keeps me on track of which colours was the last colour I've used, where I need to go to from there. So you can see here, it looks the same in the camera. Oh, why are you not showing it, Alex? Come on. What am I doing? Am I cleaning my airbrush? Oh no, I'm getting more cups. So I must have matched that first colour, or as close to it as I wanted to. Again, take into account your printed image. Your image might not be as vibrant as it's seen on a screen or in real life. So especially with airbrush paints, if you're mixing airbrush paints, you might want to possibly think about the kind of colours you want to mix, and whether you want to match exactly to the printout, or whether you want to match it to your imagination. Get those colours in there. So as you saw, I just labelled it with number 1. I labelled the paper with number 1. And what I did before was I took a sample, or took some of the paint out. This is so that the colour is... Oh. That's annoying. I think I broke my paintbrush. Oh no, fixed. There we go. Anyway, so I took some paint out so that it was quicker to, or I use a lot less paint to get the desired color change. So one drop in 100 ml is gonna make a lot more of an impact than one drop in 1,000 ml. So I just reduced the amount of paint that I had so that I could get that color change a little bit quicker. Again, just cleaning out my airbrush. Very, very quick, very, very simple, very, very easy. Water, spray it. I use a paintbrush. It's probably not the best way because you can possibly take out some of the dry bits that are on the side, and this clogs your airbrush really quickly. I do have that problem. Probably, speak of the devil. I think I'm just trying to clear this a second ago, but it seems to be working now. So yeah, comment below, see how you clean your airbrushes. You might be able to give me some tips, especially with a side feed airbrush. So I'm trying to match the second colour now. So this is a little bit better. You can see on the left is the picture, the right was my colour, and you could see that the pitch was a lot darker than what I'd mixed. So again, taking some darker colour, making that a little bit more dark in tone. Again, really quick, really easy colour change. Couple of drops, that's all it needs. This is a technique I learned while in Ireland. A gentleman called Simon Murray, who has an amazing airbrush shop online. I'll put that in the link there up at the top of the video. And I learnt a lot of my airbrushing techniques from a gentleman called Drew Blair, legend when it comes to photorealism. So a lot of these techniques are something that he uses. If ever you want to learn how to paint photorealistically with airbrushing, definitely check him out. Drew Blair, School of Realism. Just going to speed up the video so that you can see exactly where I end up with this colour. Now, there's not much of a difference, so I'm happy with that colour. So you can see that one's taken me 4 attempts to try and match that colour. Bit of paint. Again, it may take you 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 times to colour match, but it does get it better, it does get easier. With this window technique, you're able to determine which colour you need, whether it needs to go lighter or darker or more red, more blue, more green, any colour. It really helps highlight which colour you need and how much of each colour. If it's slightly off, you only need a little bit. If it's way out, then obviously you need a lot. So make sure you label them, make sure it's correct, and labeling the bottle, labeling the colour. You can use this now as almost like a swatch, so you can look at your image and move the swatch over it so that you can see where that colour occurs within your image, within your painting, within your image. So it might be that it's used in more than one place, so keep it, don't throw the swatch away. And I'm going to carry on, try and match the third colour. So I've just slowed the video down again, and I wanted to show you this point. Maybe a question that came up later. What happens if you mix a colour that's too dark or too orange or too blue or grey or green or whatever? You can see here that this colour is very, very, very orange from what I actually want. And I'm just going to show you what I would do with this. So you can see here, there's no way near the colour I want to achieve. Yep, thumbs down, that's supposed to be. So, I've got rid of some of the paint. Like I said, get rid of some excess paint. Again, reduce by 10%. There's a reducer. So, again, reduce it down, make sure it flows through the airbrush really nice and neatly. And what I did was I added some more white back into the paint. So as you can see, it's gone from this really, really, really bright peachy colour back down to a colour that I can work with again. So take away some of the paint and then just add some white in there and almost restart it a little bit. So motoring through these now. Generally speaking, it's better to do more colours than you need, or what I mean is it's better to do slight variations of the colours sometimes, even if they look the same, they're probably not, and it gives it a lot more depth to your painting, gives you a lot more feel to your painting. Great thing about paper is it's double-sided. Just use the other side when you've run out of room on this side, on the first side. Make sure you number the sides as well, just makes it easier to find out which paint you're after and what you're looking for. So again, just wanted to slow this down for you. I've made a boo-boo. So as you can see, these two colours are pretty much the same. Got to keep watching out for those colours, because it may be that you mix a colour previously that you don't have to do again. And as you can see, I went right back down to a lighter orange or a lighter peach colour when I could have just used that as this colour rather than mixing it again. But you'll live and learn, you live and learn. So these are the colours for the eyes. I'm currently doing the reflection. See, slight blue colour. And this is the last final colour that I've mixed. So there's 15 colours there. You could probably do more. Go right down to a granular level. Make sure you label all your bottles. Make sure you've got them in the correct way, in the correct... make sure you underline them, because a 6 and a 9, sometimes can get mixed up, especially if you're trying to rush or you're trying to look for them. It can get slightly confusing, so just make sure they're labelled well. So these are all my colours. These are the ones I'm going to use for this painting. Let me know any questions.